wondering what I'm doing, I'm just waiting to make sure that this is actually being uploaded as a live stream. I'm still not getting confirmation of that, so I'm just kind of giving it just a few more seconds here. Looks like I might have to do more than that. There we go. Now I see that there's some people showing up. Hello. I have to be careful because often, as you know, I'll start to upload and it's not actually going up to YouTube. It's kind of in cyberspace, kind of lost, and then you'll catch me in the middle of a sentence or something like that. Okay, well, it looks like we got some people here. Sorry it took over a minute to do that. Hello, everyone. Welcome as you come in. This is going to be a little strange, and I'm going to explain what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it in just a few minutes. But welcome as you come in. Today is oh my gosh, it's the 12th of September 2022. Hard to believe. This year's slipping by us really fast. A lot of things I could talk about. Hello, everyone, as you come in. But there's a particular reason for this live stream tonight. And I'm going to explain the background as to why this came up. I'm 5x5. Thank you very much. Former IC officer. Oh, all right. Thank you. Russ W. Hello from a former IC officer. You're absolutely right about the IC. Thank you very much. Yes, I know. And we'd get confirmation on that more and more every day by the way things are working out. Of course, what he's talking about is a motto of my channel that the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. So, anyway, I'm drinking this today. It's actually a cup that I bought in California probably 10 years ago. Maybe not that long, but something like that. And it was the name of the company was Chuckwagon Soda. And if you bought your drink in this mug, which is all stainless steel, and it's built so that it really holds the cold, not so much the hot, but the cold, uh, you get basically free refills. So it was really great. So today I'm enjoying some root beer, which I really like. No, there's no alcohol in it, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. We're all straight up tonight, all right? So this is root beer, and I am enjoying it. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Oh, no, I had that on Monday. Last month, or maybe it was last Friday, whatever it was. Yeah, Pabst Blue Ribbon is something that I've talked about before. I think I've shown you that. Okay. Might as well get on with it here so that I don't hold you all up too long. Uh, as you all should know by now, I have quite a personal history and a professional one as well. And uh, I have been open about that, and I talk about it quite frequently. Not that I'm trying to convert anybody to it or, whatever, gain followers or anything like that. I'm not into that. My whole purpose in talking about it is so, first of all, people know that I'm not trying to hide it. I mean, why would I? Because I made international news for a whole decade and occasionally, even after that, on just my personal life. And then, of course, when I got into talking about the government and about politics and military and history, of course, I've done this YouTube thing, and I've also had some national and international coverage on that. Not so much, of course, because it's not quite as juicy, I guess I would say. But at any rate, I keep getting questions about it, and people like to point fingers and make issues of it. And I talked about it on the last video because there are a lot of people involved in some really, and I'm just going to say it, degenerate type things that want to point the finger at me and make issues of that. And I guess it comes down to what people like and what they don't like. But I'm not involved in anybody else's life as far as prohibiting them or that kind of thing or whatever. I say what I like and what I don't like. For instance, I like root beer. I don't particularly like 7 Up. All right. I like blonde, blue-eyed, nicely shaped women. I'm not really into, and usually and white women, of course. That's what I like. It doesn't mean I have anything against black ladies or any other, group. It's just what we like personally. And they want to try to make it as if you don't accept that, if you don't change your likes, dislikes, etc., that you're racist or you're a supremacist or you're against liberty, and that's not it at all. My problem is that I don't want those things, as far as what I talked about yesterday, what I consider to be degenerate and difficult lifestyles that are really damaging. I don't want that stuff preached to me day in and day out and forced down my throat. If you want to do those things in your bedroom, that's fine. I think you're making a big mistake, but of course they think I've made big mistakes. Well, I'll let my kids talk to your kids about that. That's how I usually answer that, okay? But I'm not out here to promulgate even what my lifestyle was in the 80s and 90s. I'm just not here to do that. I understand how that lifestyle is beneficial, but like any other lifestyle, there are those who pervert it, those who use it for nefarious purposes, sometimes hurting people and children, and I know that. But that's the case with anything in the world. I mean, we can look at people like Jeffrey Epstein, for instance. We can look at the Bidens at this point in time, and they're supposedly monogamists, right? So it's not so much what you choose to do, it's whether you do it righteously or unrighteously, or whether you attempt to do it righteously or whether you just do it unrighteously. And I've talked about that many times before. Righteousness is the right use of something. I could get into a long dissertation, a long even arguments with, everybody from Christians to whatever about this particular lifestyle that I was engaged in, and that I still hold in high regard. Uh, and I think I could defend it just like I always have. But really, that's not the issue. The issue is that we all need to find our own way, and we can't do it depending upon somebody else's experience. We have to make decisions ourselves. We have to go through those experiences and try to figure things out for ourselves, okay? And if we're only doing things that other people tell us to do, that you must do thus and so, you must do thus and so, then you're not learning for yourself. So while I consider, obviously, certain things to be degenerate, uh, those people that are engaging in that are going to find that out for themselves. I don't need to constantly harp on it, although I do it now because those things are being forced down our throats all the time. So I just want you to know that I'm not doing this video today, this live stream, to force this information that you have to engage in any way. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you why I did it, okay? Now, one of the side effects of this, and if any of you follow me on Twitter, of course that's at Royston Potter, you should probably know that, and I'm on Gab at Roy P. And I have Odyssey, which is at Roy Potter QA and at Royston Potter. It's at both. You can get it either way. You'll know that I talk about spiritual things quite a bit. And because of all of my experiences, not just my personal life, but other things, I have a vast reservoir of experience to pull from, spiritual, physical, professional, all those things, which is really why I started this channel. And sometimes, I guess, because of the nature of what I talk about, it almost sounds pious. It almost sounds like I'm trying to tell you, if you don't, and I don't mean it this way, but some people think that possibly maybe I'm trying to force the issue that they must look at things. No, I just want you to be aware and then make your own decisions. There's an old saying, teach people correct principles and let them govern themselves. And that's really what our constitutional republic was supposed to be all about. Limited government, let people alone, teach them correct principles, and let them govern themselves. Unfortunately, the narcissists, the psychopaths, the sociopaths, those hungry for power and for destruction, don't like that. They want to be able to dictate to you, and that's another reason why I've done this, is to show all of those difficulties that we're going through today, and what led up to it, and the fact that this has been coming for a long time. Well, at any rate, some people also think that I might be something special, that I might be, you know, one of God's chosen mouthpieces. Now, there is a scripture that says the Spirit of Christ is the Spirit of prophecy. So if you deny that you have a gift that God has given you, then you're denying God in some regards. But at the same time, you don't want to be prideful. You don't want to assume too much. You know, assume makes an ass out of you and me. And I've received lately some very high level comments from some people. Of course, I get attacked by the low levels too. You've probably seen that if you're on Twitter, or the comments in the boxes and the comments and the chats below. But you know, the attacks on me and the attacks on my positions and my belief system and all those things, those really don't bother me so much. You know what bothers me? When people think that, you know, I'm special, that God is, I'm a spokesperson or something like that. That scares me, because I never want to appear as if I'm taking that position. Uh, and the reason why is because if God sends somebody of some importance, of some thing that's going to impact the world, or even just a small group of people, that person's not going to have to sell themselves. In other words, they're not going to have to get up there and tell you, I'm the chosen one. Remember that? I'm the chosen one. Or God's telling me to tell you this. Or you've got to support me because I'm telling you God's word, so I want you to support me. Notice I never asked for any donations, and I knew from the very start I couldn't do that, because that, in my estimation, for me, that wasn't going to work. I'm not saying that people that do videos and all that shouldn't get, reimbursed for their time and effort and all of that. I'm not saying that. But for me, I knew that I couldn't ask for money, because that would be placing my message in the realm of looking for remuneration. And that's not what I'm about. It's hard to explain, but the point is that the people that are out there saying, look at me, I'm somebody special, you have to understand what I'm telling you. You have to not just understand, but you have to look at me as being something important. If they were important, it would be self-evident. They wouldn't have to sell themselves. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Okay? You wouldn't have to sell yourself if what you're saying is important. I'm not sure I'm making that clear, but I hope you see what I'm getting at. It would be self-manifest. You don't talk about what you're going to do. I'm going to do this in the future. I'm going to do this. I'm going to part the Red Sea. I'm going to convert the world. I'm going to, teach this thing, and everybody's going to figure it out, or whatever. It'll be self-evident. You're not going to have to go around bragging about what you're going to do. You will just do it. So at any rate, I've had quite a number of people say, gee, Roy, we can see where you're going here, and, we really look up to you and all that. And those things scare me. I appreciate the vote of confidence, and it inspires me to want to do better. But I thought that maybe what I should do is show my foibles side, my difficulties, my weaknesses, my struggles, if you will, so that you would know that where I am and where I've come from really have fashioned my understanding of things. And I present those things only because that's my experience and I think it might be valuable to you. For instance, Josephus said things that don't go along with the traditional Christian notions of things in the first century. Now, did he have an agenda? Sure. But we have to be aware that those things happen. And so I've been very, very pointed about the problems with traditional Christianity, just as an example. And most of you know that. I'm not saying that you're bad if you're in those things and if you're in traditional Christianity, but I am telling you that there are things historically that we need to look at because it's not the way we think, and it never really is. So anyway, I've been getting these very nice messages, and a lot of them are very, very good, very, very inspiring. It makes me think. Remember the other day I talked about the scripture in Kings where God told Elijah was lamenting, that he was going through all this trouble. And God came to him and said, look, Elijah, settle down here. Take it easy. I've got 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to Baal. Now, 7,000 is an important number. It doesn't mean that there were only 7,000 then, and it doesn't equate today to 7,000 people proportionately. It could be 7 million for all I know. And I did a little math on that at one time in a video several years ago. But at any rate, the importance of the 7,000 is actually what it means when you break it down. I gave a video some time ago about, and I know this is a spiritual discussion, but we'll get to the meat of this in just a minute, okay? But I wanted to give this background. Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It also has a numerical value of 1. But when you spell it out phonetically, Aleph, Lamed, Pei, it has a value of 1,000, and it means 1,000 when it's written. So sometimes you got to figure out whether they're talking about a letter or if they're talking about a number when you look at Hebrew. Well, in that case, most of the time it's 1,000. Well, what's 7,000? Well, one way to put it would be Aleph, Lamed, Pei, and then Zayin. Zayin is the number 7 in Hebrew, and it means sword. So when God says he has 7,000 men that have not bowed the knee to Baal, he's saying, first of all, that they're godly men because they have their alephs, they have to do with Adam. We read a scripture some time ago where I explained where it says, all of you are men. Remember that when we were talking about that? All of you are men, and you will be with me, you men. And people were trying to say, well, so no women are there. Remember I was talking about that? Well, the word for men there was Adam, and Adam means they're from the family of Adam. In other words, their genealogy is pretty well fixed. They are his seed. They are his children. So that's really what the issue was. So when you say there are 7,000 men that have not bowed the knee to Baal, that's saying a lot. First of all, that they're Adams, okay, they have that seed in them, the Alephs, and they are basically carrying a sword. In other words, they are a force for good, unlike the U.S. Navy that says it's a force for good. This really is a force for good. Now, does that mean necessarily that they're going to use swords? Well, I would maintain that at some point in time that will happen. But the more important one is the depiction of Jesus, of course, with a two-edged sword coming out of his mouth, right? In other words, the power of words, the power of getting out there and speaking your mind and talking. The First Amendment, which is why they want to attack it, because they don't want people to come at them with the truth, the two-edged sword. They want to control what they say and disregard anything that doesn't go along with the liberal order narrative. So there will be those who are of these 7,000 who speak as Alpha and Omega, as Jesus said, with a two-edged sword out of their mouths. They will be cutting asunder the falsehoods, the lies, All of those things that the liberal world order tosses out there. But there's also the idea of the sword too. Uh, Let him who has no sword sell one of his cloaks if he has two and go out and buy one. That wasn't talking about the words coming out of your mouth. That's talking about that sometimes you have to actually use force in defense of truth. The sword of truth in defense of truth and virtue. Okay. So back after I went through all of these things in the mid 90s, I decided to write an autobiography. And it's only up through 1996. It doesn't do anything from 1996 on forward. I did write an addendum to it, just a short summary of what happened since 96. But I don't know if that's going to be available or not. So let me give you the background of what's happened. In the description box below is some information about ordering the new reprint of my autobiography. I don't know that the cover will look like this. The publisher that's actually doing the work might redesign this, and that's okay. I've given him carte blanche as to how he wants to handle it. The information inside will pretty much remain the same, including my errors. For instance, calling the United States a democratic republic instead of a constitutional republic. Sometimes when you're writing, you don't catch those little innuendos, but that was a mistake that I made in here. It's not a major one, but it's one that bothers me even to this day. So we are a constitutional republic. But at any rate, he is going to reprint these because I've had so many people want to look at it, and it's out of print. Um, this is one of the originals. There's only one edition of it, and it's hard to find. Guy Bouillon found one that I had actually signed, an autographed copy, and he paid quite a bit of money for it. And so, at any rate, I've had a lot of people ask for it. It is slanted somewhat to Mormonism, not totally. Okay, I give a lot of respect to some of the early understandings that the Mormons were bringing out, which now in the church are totally different. They've gone totally to basic. The current prophet is infallible, and what they say is the truth, even though it changes from day to day. That kind of thing. Well, that wasn't the case in the early times, but this isn't really justifying anything I did based on Mormonism. It's showing what happened in the state of Utah and in the federal government in regards to my particular case after I was fired from Murray City Police Department. So at any rate, in 96 I wrote this, and it basically goes from my early days when I was a child up until 1996, about that. And I give some, and it's not exhaustive by any means. It's basically just a summary of things that happened to me. It's about, let me see how long it is here. This particular copy is, this first edition is 263 pages plus some portraits and pictures like this. And I don't know if they're going to be including these pictures in the new, this is me young and then in high school. Okay, I think that's 7 years old, and that's when I was 17. And there are a lot of other pictures in here, my army pictures, things like this, stuff like that. So I don't know what the publisher is going to do with all of that. I do know that they're in the middle of putting it together right now. And since a lot of people have been wanting copies of it, in the description box below, it'll say where to go for my autobiography, I Wed 3 Wives. There's an address there and a phone number. The address is to Old Pioneer Press. Pioneer Press was the original publisher of this. And that gentleman, a very good friend of mine, he died in 2002, I believe. But his son took over the business, but he calls it the Old Pioneer Press now. So the contact information is in the description box below, Old Pioneer Press. It's in Santaquin, Utah. So you can write them and tell them that you're interested in the book. They haven't set a price that I know. I don't think any of that's in the play right now, but you can at least let them know that you're interested in it. Or you can call them. The phone number is there as well. So if you want a copy of this, if you want to see the type of things I was going through and what I put my poor family through, because I thought that we needed to stand up against the attacks that were being made against us, and some of my other stories, they're in here. Okay, it's not exhaustive, as I said, but you'll get a lot of information about me, and you'll see. I'm not perfect by any means, and I make mistakes, and I my understandings of things change with more information, which is totally normal, and that's okay. When you find out more information, the thing is are you willing to change based upon the new information that you have? Okay, so you'll see that knowing where I am today and reading the book. Now, do I get any money from what's going on here? No. I've signed over carte blanche all the rights to the publisher. I appreciate his family. They've been my friends for years, 40 years now about. And they wanted to do this anyway. And when I finally gave them the go ahead, they were very happy. And it's all on them. They get to keep all of the money that comes in. And again, I don't know how much it's going to cost. I think it was it was $10, $11 back in the 90s. I don't know what it'll be now, especially with all the new costs and all that. I'm not even going to say. But the bottom line is I'm not getting any of the money. Okay, that I want no money from this. They seem to think that it's important, and with all the questions and everything that I've had lately, I figured it was important for those people that want this to have it. So I don't know when the reprints will be completed. I'm not involved in that decision-making process or anything, but you can contact the people in the description box, the publisher that's working on it, Old Pioneer Press, and they will give you what information they have and an approximate date that they'll be done. And I don't know if they'll be able to give you a cost right up front, but they'll probably be able to give you a ballpark. But again, I'm not making any money from this. Okay, this is not for me. This is for people to understand what it really takes to stand on your own 2 feet and to defy the powers that be, both ecumenical, ecclesiastical, and governmental, and corporate for that matter. I want to read a couple of things in this tonight so that those who, and again, I appreciate the votes of confidence and the willingness to say, Roy, you're teaching us a lot of things. You really have opened up some windows. We think that I don't want to give all the information out that I've been getting, but we think that you are something special and that you're going to be important. I want to be part of the remnant. I think most people that have an understanding of things and love God really do want that, despite your weaknesses and all that. But I got concerned that they thought maybe I was something greater than what I am. So let me read this is on page 10 and page 10 is the prologue to the book. Okay, it's the end of the prologue. And this is what I said. This was in 1996, and it's true today as well. Okay, this is what I said. This is one paragraph out of the prologue, okay? I am aware that some will want to make more of this book than I have intended. I need to say at the very beginning that I disclaim any calling to set the house of God in order. In other words, that, I'm the one that's going to fix everything, all right? I have not received any such calling, and I am not worthy to undertake the task. I leave it all in God's hands. Let me read that to you again, because this is important. Another reason why I'm going along with the publisher to get this out. I am aware that some will want to make more of this book than I have intended. I need to say at the very beginning that I disclaim any calling to set the house of God in order. I have not received any such calling, and I am not worthy to undertake the task. I leave it all in God's hands. I want to read one more paragraph, and it's in the epilogue, okay? The epilogue. And this is what I say there. This is on page 263 in the epilogue. And there are a lot more things I could read, but I think this will give you a concept about where I am then and now. This is on page 263. We need to return to pure law, the protection against plunder, and not remain in the arbitrary realms of whimsical social engineering that inevitably result in tyranny. Despite the popular myths, our democracy, and this is where I make a mistake, which is supposed to be a democratic republic, it should have been constitutional republic. But the point is, there's a difference between a democracy and a republic and how it operates. Let me read that again. Despite the popular myths, our democracy, which is supposed to be a constitutional republic, is rife with tyranny. Although our Constitution is designed to prevent infringements by unjust majoritarian coercion and limit government interference in our lives, the democracy foisted on us by our leaders allows them to act underneath the protective umbrella of the majority and commit unlawful acts in the process. Currently, the unjust monarch merely hides behind a shield for his unjust rule, the will of the collective. Where can we place responsibility in such a system? Notice that you can't peg anybody that's responsible, especially the administrative state. I feel as the Duke of Marlborough, who stated, I do not believe in the collective wisdom of individual ignorance. Then I say, to correct this, we need only to ensure the inviolability of the Bill of Rights. And haven't I said that before? Many, many times. So if you want this book, I'm really putting this out there now, right? Let me put this away here. You can go into the description box below, get the contact information, and they'll tell you probably when this will be ready, okay, and approximate costs and some other things. Again, there's a place you can write there, and there's a phone number. So that's that. And I think I'll leave that there. We're already 30 minutes in. I have one other thing I wanted to bring up, and that is that the producer for the Shepard Ambellas show called me and wants me to come on, and I will be on this Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That information is also in the description box below, and I decided in there I'd put not only Shepard Ambellas' atn.live, which is the podcast site for the show, but I also put in there his Twitter account and his homepage for his website. That way you can peruse all those. And most of you who follow me and when I've made announcements that I'm going to be on somebody's show, you guys know how to access them. But just in case, I put it in there. And I suspect that Shepard will put up a notification on Twitter probably tomorrow and possibly again on Wednesday. And that'll be a direct link to whatever the show will be on. So maybe that will be the easiest way to conduct that. Go to the Twitter account tomorrow, probably tomorrow evening, and again on Wednesday, and there will be a direct link to that interview that's going to take place. What are we going to talk about? I have no idea. I think it's probably going to at least touch, because he's done some stories on this lady. He was one of the originals, as I said the other night, that really looked into the Las Vegas massacre and 9/11. And I suspect that those will probably be the subjects of what we talk about on Wednesday night. He's more of an expert than I am, but I have my police and other military background to comment on it, and I have extensively since that event occurred in October of 2017. And I'll be bringing probably up a lot of that up at the interview. And I'm sure that Shepard will put in his information as well. So look forward to that. There were helicopters that were apparently used, as well as possibly some people on the ground. All of that we'll discuss. It would be hard to talk about it here because they'll censor it all out, which is another reason why I decided to come on and do this tonight and talk about my book and give you the contact information to the publisher, because I never know when YouTube's actually going to take me down, okay? And I never know when Twitter is going to take me down. So I figured if I got that notification about the book reprint going on, that at least it would be out there for the people who are interested. I'll also put it on my community post above, probably with a picture of the book. And I'll also put it on Gab, okay? And Odyssey will pick this YouTube upload automatically and put it on Odyssey. I'll also load it into Twitter, okay? But in case because I'm getting really close, I've got 2 strikes against me now, and they're making all kinds of threats. YouTube is, even though they were both unjust. The first one was that I gave medical disinformation, which wasn't true. It's turned out to be true, of course. But like a lot of people, they went back and they took that video down and gave me a strike. And then the other one was when I was very critical of the FBI. They said it was hate speech. So they gave me another strike on that. So I'm on thin ice here now. I could disappear any day. If I do, I will be on Odyssey. The link is odyssey.com, right? And at Royston Potter or at Roy Potter QA. I think you can get to me either way. But that information is on my YouTube channel right here. You can go to my homepage, see the Odyssey link right there, and that'll give you that. And then, of course, my Twitter link is you go to Twitter, and it's at Royston Potter, okay? Gab, again, is at Roy Potter. So I wanted to give that information out tonight in case I suddenly disappear. And any of those people who are interested in getting the book and reading about it, about what I went through, and partially why I'm where I am today, you'll be able to see that. Now, the question is there going to be a second volume? In other words, my first autobiography went from when I was born until 1996. Again, it's not exhaustive. It's just hitting some high points. Am I going to do one from 1996 to the present? Well, a lot of people are asking for it, including the publisher. Some people say, well, why don't you just write the whole thing again and then just do it in one book? Well, there are some problems with doing that, and I think it would be better to do a second volume than it would be to try to put it all in one book for a lot of reasons. So regardless, I haven't even decided to do a follow-up second volume on any of this. We'll wait and see. Okay, I just don't know yet. I mean, it's been an adventure. A lot of people they'd go, wow, that happened. Oh, that happened. Oh my gosh, you did this, you did that. Oh my gosh, that wasn't fun. Why did you do that? Because it was the right thing to do. Those kinds of things. So we'll see. I haven't made a decision yet. Maybe we'll see how this goes with this first volume, so to speak. And if enough people, I mean, when it was on, I never actually put it on Amazon. It got on there some other way with used books, and I think that's where Guy Bouillon got his. I don't think I ever really sold this on Amazon from what I can remember. I'm pretty sure I didn't, or any other thing like that. It was pretty much a local publication, like I told you about, and although it made it to a lot of places around the country, even overseas, it did. But we'll see, if enough people are interested, and if you twist, let me put this back again so I don't lose it. If you twist my arm and say, we want that second volume of your life from 1996 to the present, who knows, maybe I'll be inspired to do that. Okay, well, that was a long explanation for a simple thing, but I wanted you to have some of the background and know where we're coming from. And again, I'm not going to get any of the money from this, so don't think I'm doing this to make money off of you. I would not do that. But if you want the book, I think the publisher will have it ready. I'm going to guess. Please don't hold him to it. them. It's actually a family. Don't hold me to it. But I think they're in the process now, knowing how long it took before to make this book and how the process goes. I would guess that probably sometime about Christmas. It could be earlier, it might be later, but they'll be able to give you the information. Okay? All right. I guess that's all I've got. Any questions here? Do I need to answer any questions? Let's see. It looks like maybe the chat's been shut down again. Boy, that happens so often. I hope I'm up and running still. Yeah, I don't know if the chat's even working anymore. It only goes for, I think they get tired and shut me down. So it looks like the counts are still there and maybe vacillating a little bit. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty much done. I could have answered some questions, but I think we got the basics covered tonight. So again, publisher in the description box so you can talk to them about getting a copy. And don't forget the Shepard Ambellas show that I'll be on Wednesday night, this coming Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so adjust that for whatever time zone you're in. And I'm not sure what the subject matter will be, probably Las Vegas, October Massacre, Harvest Festival, and possibly 9/11, but we'll see. Okay, it's pretty much open. They haven't given me an itinerary on that. Okay, all right, y'all take care. Out for now.